Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
So we're hearing a lot about the Giants this year with the tough schedule we have with Russell Wilson coming in, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, and everything that Giants fans are excited about. But I think something that we've kind of glossed by that it seems like a lot of the players are excited about is Theo Johnson. Now, Theo Johnson is a 6'7", like 250-pound monster at tight end. He's a guy that's gotten compared to Jimmy Graham and all of the other super duper athletic tight ends. And a lot of people say, well, just another athletic player. The Giants drafted him. Maybe he'll turn out well, maybe he won't. But at the end of the day, when you look at the numbers, athletic tight ends or tight ends that are as athletic as Theo Johnson is, have a very, very high success rate. They're like them more than almost any other position has a very high success rate just on athleticism alone, which makes sense because they don't necessarily have to be elite at one thing. They don't have to be an elite route runner because they can run by people. They don't have to be an elite blocker because they're big enough to throw their body at people. So Theo Johnson is kind of the mix of both. He's a 4'5'7" guy at again, 250 something pounds. He's really tall. I think he's 6'6". So again, he's a guy that is just going to win a lot of matchups just basically on his size and speed alone. Now, when you look at some of his pro day metrics, 5'4'7", 40-yard dash, 20-yard shuttle, 419. His vertical jump, 39.5 inches at 6'5", 6'6". At 6'6", his vertical jump was 39.5 inches. Broad jump was 10.5. I mean, his vertical jump for tight ends is the second best since 1987. And then his three cone is top 5 all time for tight ends at 7.15 seconds. Now, again, looking at the RAS score, which is the measurement of athleticism for every player that comes into the NFL, and Math Bomb on Twitter, I think it's Math Bomb on Twitter, is the person that runs the RAS scores. And again, it's been very, very good at predicting success at tight end. Let's take a look. 9.5. Tight ends that are over 9.5 produce 400 receiving yards or more in year 2, and 75% of the time. So if you're a guy that's getting 450, 500 yards, you're a starting tight end in the league. Theo Johnson is not a 9.5. He's not a 9.6. He's not a 9.7. He's not a 9.8. He's a 9.99 out of 10. As far as athleticism goes, this guy is a unicorn. So when Russell Wilson comes into the building and he says, I'm excited to play with Theo Johnson, and when Jameis Winston says, I'm excited to play with Theo Johnson, they really mean it. They really mean it because this guy is a problem. He's going to be a problem. So let's take a look at a little bit more of Theo Johnson this past year. 29 catches last year, 331 yards and 1 touchdown over 12 games with no quarterback. Now, in the past, tight ends have been the friend of bad quarterback play. Tight ends have always been the friends of bad quarterback play. But for some reason, our quarterbacks have been so bad that they haven't been able to see the tight end wide open in the middle of the field, wide open down the seam. He's been wide open a couple of times down the seam, and he just hasn't gotten the football. So when you insert Russell Wilson, who's gotten guys like Will Dissly and a bunch of other tight ends to play well, when you insert guys like Jameis Winston, who's played well with tight ends who can just get the ball downfield, I think that Theo Johnson is going to have a breakout style season. And if he does, along with Malik Neighbors on the outside, along with Darius Slayton on the other side, it's going to be really good. It's going to be looking really good for the Giants offense. And then also when you take a deeper look, he had a 92% catch rate, which means he wasn't dropping the football all over the place. We've had a bunch of tight ends the Giants have that have had non-secure hands. We've had some guys that just can't catch the ball. Let's go back to the security of a Kevin Boss or the security of a Jake Ballard, except at the same time, the guy has athleticism off the charts. So I'm expecting Theo Johnson to take a step this year. I'm expecting him to go over 500 yards. I'm expecting him to go over 5 touchdowns. Hopefully he can be a guy that gets 50 catches. And if he gets that many catches, he may be a guy that goes over, 600, 700 yards. And again, Malik Neighbors is in this offense, and he's going to be the number 1 target. You also have Slayton. You also have Wandale. And depending on if Russell decides to change his tendencies that he's had pretty much his whole career, which is he doesn't really focus over the middle of the field as far as receivers go, you won't have that success from Wandale. So Wandale's targets might end up going to the huge 6'6", 250-pound tight end in the middle of the field. That's where Wandale's targets might end up going. And if that happens, you could see a guy that really starts to form into that Jimmy Graham type of tight end, into that receiving type of tight end. George Kittle, all of these guys who are super athletes at tight end, they just always seem to work out. Now, how are we going to use him this upcoming season? I want to see Theo Johnson down the seam. Now, I know every tight end has to be a possession player. You got to be a possession player. And Theo can catch and run. But I really want to see Theo Johnson down the seam. Because his height, if he's messed up on a linebackers these days, I mean, what are they, 6'2", 6'3"? At most. Every once in a while, you'll see that 6'4" linebacker that'll be chasing Theo Johnson down the seam. And mind you, he's probably on par with the speed of a lot of these linebackers, except they're going backwards first and he's going forward. So he's probably going to be faster, get down the field than these linebackers, and he's going to be able to just basically catch the ball over him. If the guy's jumping 40 inches off the ground almost, and he's 6'6", I mean, good luck. If he wants to jump and catch the ball, good luck getting up there. And then you got the safeties. I mean, he turns around and puts his body on somebody and boxes them out. There's nothing that a safety can do to Theo Johnson. Down the seam, anywhere on the field, there's the positioning that he's going to be able to get is going to be ridiculous. It reminds me of Jimmy Graham. I mean, it really does. Like playing Madden as a kid, Jimmy Graham down the seam, and there used to be a thing in Madden called rocket catching, where you can basically box out a guy, and if you had a tall receiver, there's nothing that anybody can do. And I really can see Theo Johnson being that kind of player. Now, of course, there have been 6'6", 6'7" tight ends that have not been successful, that weren't able to use their height and size and athleticism to their potential. And these are all projections. Theo's got to get out there and make it happen. But again, I really feel like he can be that guy for us. I really think that Theo can go out there and continue to work on his route running. He's already a solid blocker, a solid inline blocker. I think he can really be a guy that's that do-it-all tight end. He's pretty much taking Daniel Bellinger's job. Daniel Bellinger at best this year is going to be the third tight end. You got Fedoni coming down the lane. That's probably vying to take Bellinger's job this year, and he may very well do that. But for now, I think the sky is wide open for Theo to get out there game one, to be aggressive. I'm hearing that he's already healthy from his injury. And again, he had 300 plus yards last year and didn't play the whole season. So he would have gotten that 400 plus yards probably last year. So I'm excited to see what he can do. See if he can be a guy that scratches that 700 plus yardage at tight end with a number one receiver in this offense. And if he can be that like quasi number one receiver at tight end, because tight end always takes a couple years for those guys to become elite players. If he can be that kind of a player in year two, that can turn the Giants season completely around. That could be the difference between us, going 6-12 this year or 6-11. However many games there are. That can be the difference between us going 6-11 and, winning 9 games or winning 8 games. Are huge plays and huge moments from Theo Johnson. So you all let me know if you're excited to see Theo play this year. I certainly am. And I think he can be a guy that can really turn things around for this offense with the right quarterback play.